Sewing with decorative threads is a lot of fun on a serger. This one's called Razzle Dazzle. And when you take the thread off of the cone or the spool, such as this is, and you look at it, sometimes it's kind of rough. And look at the end of this one. It's all frazzled. Looks like a piece of asparagus. You can't hardly thread that through anything. So there's ways to get this type of thread through a serger without a whole lot of difficulty. First of all, we're going to remove the upper looper thread because your decorative threads almost always go in the upper looper. You can put them in both the lower looper and the upper looper if you're doing something that's reversible. But for our sample, we're just going to use the upper looper. So remove the cone and cut the thread. Take the serger thread out of the machine. Don't forget, if you're using a Baby Lock air threader, to run it out and get the excess thread out. You don't want to set a spool on top of a cone holder. See how the thread dropped down below the cone holder? As it tries to sew, it can't get out of there, and it can cause you to break needles. And so instead of doing that, take the cone holder off. Take it completely off. Do not set it on top of a cone holder. I'm going to set it over here to get it out of the way. Now this is a base for spools of thread. It has a little foam rubber on it, and you just set the spool on top of it. But on this case, the spool is almost the same size as the base, and it can still fall underneath it. So use something like this. This is an extension base. When you set your decorative thread on top of that, and if it does puddle off, it'll just lay on top of this extended base. Now you go ahead and thread the machine as normal. Go up into the thread stand, then come down and thread the top of the machine. And at this one, I'm going to bring it down to the upper looper threading port. See that fuzzy stuff? Just cut that off. And it still fuzzes some. But that's okay. We're going to use a thread cradle in that hole. So you need regular serger thread. And you want to pull off about a yard. It needs enough to go through the machine. Pull slack in your decorative thread and just let it puddle up on the front of the machine there. You have to have enough slack that it can go through the machine and out the other side. There, have a nice long thread cradle. And you want to loop in one end, and you want the two cut ends in your other hand. And what you're going to do is put the thread through that loop on the other end. So first, we're going to stick the two cut ends of the thread down into the upper looper tube. I like to use my tweezers. It's a little easier for me to get it in there. You can put it in any way that you can get it in there. Get enough in there. You need like an inch. So I just put like 1/4 inch at a time down in there. Then you take the other end where the loop is, and you open the loop, and you put your decorative thread through the loop. Put about 6 or 8 inches of it through. You don't need a whole lot, but put it through there. Make sure it's not hanging up on anything. You lock up the machine. To threading, you turn the hand wheel to engage your air system. Then push the button. Once the thread shoots through, just grasp it, gently pull it through, and it's a leader thread. There comes your Razzle Dazzle, right through the looper. Take the excess thread and cut it off with a thread cutter. Now you're ready to sew your sample. Close up your doors, close up your machine, and the fabric I'm going to use is just a lightweight piece of fabric, and you put it in the machine, into the knife, lower your presser foot, and sew down the edge. You have to make a test sample. Now the extra thread on the top is just going to feed right through the presser foot and out to the back. Don't even worry about it. Go all the way down to the end, and then we're going to look and see how our stitch looks. When you sew off, be sure when you cut your threads to always leave some on the fabric and some on the machine. You need a little bit of tail left on the fabric, and you need a little bit of tail left in the machine. All machines will have a stitch length and a stitch width adjustment. And it depends on how you want your stitches to look as to where you're going to set these two dials. The stitch width and the stitch length are totally different. If you look at your stitch, you can see that your stitches are a little bit too far apart. And I can see gray through it there. This would be the length across here. This would be the width in this direction. And so I'm going to play with this stitch length dial first. Stitch length is going to make the stitches closer together so there won't be as much gray fabric showing. The dials usually adjust from a long stitch up to a 4, and then they'll go down to a shorter stitch to a 1 or slightly below. I'm going to start on about a 2.5, and as we have more adjustment there, and as we go, I'm going to slowly turn the dial down towards the 1. On this machine, see that little dot? we actually can go to 0.75. It's much closer together. Now we're going to try a new line here, and we're going to adjust our stitch length adjustment. Make sure you put it up into the knife blade, lower your foot, and as you sew, trim off the old piece. This is just a sample. I'm going to slowly rotate this down shorter and shorter as we go. I'm going to keep looking at the stitch as I do that, and then I'm going to rotate it down a little bit more. The shorter it goes, the closer the stitches will become. I'm going to go all the way down towards the 1. On this one, I'm actually going to go down to the 0.75. You can get it too tight with a heavier thread, so I'm going to do several just different changes on here so you can see what it looks like when it's good and you see what it looks like when it's too tight. This is where we started. See how the stitches are spaced apart? What we want to do is bring those closer together so that it looks more solid. If you bring them too close together, you'll get this real high impact look on it, and you'll get this ripply edge on the outer edge, and you'll get this little hangover stitches on the inner edge. So we don't want it that close together. It's too tight. We want it to be adjusted a little bit longer until it lays flat and almost covers all of the gray in there. It's okay if it sticks through a little bit. This is what it looks like from the outer edge. See how it's all ripply there and the stitches are all heavy? That's not what you want. You want it to lay nice and smooth. You don't want it real far apart. You don't want it real close together. Our best stitches would be laying flat, just like that. You have a spacing in there. You don't have hangover. You don't have a big ripple. That's what you want it to look like right there.